Welcome to my Hebrew channel, Miel, and we're looking at Ruth 2, 15, and 16. This is part of the narrative or the part of the description of the story at the field, at the harvesting field. Key word here is to gather, laket, and these two verses are very much parallel verses. In other words, the start of verse 15 has Ruth returning to the field to work, and then the next two parts of these verses has Boaz instructing his workers. In this day and age, we hear a lot about toxic work sites and people just getting angry and people getting upset with each other and so forth. In some cases, even leading to violence. And just recently, there was people have been beating each other up in the stadium. What happens when you're angry and when you're upset? Boaz is really working very hard to make sure that what's ever happening on the field will be a very pleasant experience for everybody. So he gives instructions to his workers. Basically, both of these verses are instructions there. It's a progressive sense here. In other words, we start with what he says in verse 15, and then he builds on that into verse 16. So some of the structures are very similar between the two verses, but the one moves on to the next one and builds on it. So a very beautiful literary structure here, and a very beautiful concept of what happens out there in the field. We'll start, of course, with the English, and this is what I've been doing now on what I call an introductory level of the book of Ruth, looking at first at it in English, and then we're going to get into how the Hebrew comes together. Then right at the end, if you're that patient enough to stick all the way to the end, where I'll be reading it through it in Hebrew. So we're moving at it from English to translating sequence, and then on to the reading of the Hebrew. So. For those who are Hebrew challenged, you can drop out before you get to the end. When she rose to glean, this is when Ruth got up, takom. This is the very same verb that we find in the first chapter when Naomi gets up to return to Bethlehem. It's the very same word. You remember it because it has kamis hatov. We'll get to that when I explain how that is. That word comes together. When she rose to glean, Boaz instructed Shiva. This is a very short root right here, and in the explanation of how this one comes together, I'll also have some explanation how this one works. Boaz instructed his young men. Now, we've seen young men previously. We've seen kotzrim, we've seen narim. So these are the young men of his young men. So it'll be a construct form with a suffix pronoun on it. His young men, saying, let her glean. Okay, look at now we're going to see glean and glean. Yeah, so you're going to see it 2 or 3 times through both of these verses. Let her glean even among the sheaves. Okay? And we're going to see also various variations on sheaves. We have sheaves and bundles and so forth. Different words, but basically describing the same thing. So let her glean even among the sheaves. Do not reproach her. And then also pull out some of the bundles for her. So sheaves and bundles. For her to glean. Do not rebuke her. Okay. So both of these verses end with what do you call it? A negative command. Don't reproach her. Don't bother her. Don't criticize her. Don't be growly with her. I think it's a gar. And so, yeah, don't reproach her. Don't rebuke her. And that's the other thing. These two are very parallel. And the one seems to build on the other. So don't reproach her. Don't rebuke her. So see a lot of parallel structure here in this. Different verses, of course, different activities. But the structure is very much parallel. So now on to some of the Hebrew and how it gets translated. Takom, and she rose, lilaket, in order to, when you have a lamed of purpose in front of a verb. It's an infinitive, in order to glean. Okay, so takom, when you have a closed syllable with no accenting on it, it's going to be a common satuv, so it's going to be o. Takom lelaket, in order to glean. And then she got up to glean. Okay, the lunch is over. Everybody heads out to the field. And I think Boaz kind of holds the rest of the crowd back and says, "Hey, I got something to tell you guys." So, okay. And so this is the orders that Boaz gives to his men here. Naharav. It's the masculine. The females aren't including this one, but they might have been there too. And it's hard to separate these two at this point. But Naharav, to his servants, to his people. Boaz, of course, here's the name, proper name. And the verb right here is va yatsav. Now, this verb, for people who insist on just dry little roots, is going to be kind of hard to sort, because when you look it up in the lexicon, you look it up in Blue Letter Bible, it's going to be sadik, vav, hey, shavah. Shavah is to order. And in its suffix form, it's going to have the hey in the end. But this is a prefix form. You got a yod right in front of it here. And in this particular word, when it's prefixed, the tendency is to drop it all the way just down to the base root. This is why I always keep insisting on my students, go for the base root. The base root here is sadik vav. Okay. Now I'm going to say sadik vav because this one is a case where the vav keeps its consonantal value. Okay, so this word can be, we know it as matris lecciones. In other words, it can work as a vowel, but no, this one in this particular root, it's going to keep working as a consonant. So just keep it just the V. Okay, that's a V. This is right here. Yatsav. This V right here is this vav right there. Well, Yatsav, and then he ordered. This particular word has a lot of, it's the verb right here, but we see it in mitzvah, that's to the commandment, and bar mitzvah, okay, bar mitzvah, and that's a common term you'll even hear today, the party that celebrates the young Jewish guy coming to adulthood, becoming basically a young adult with the ability to read Torah in the synagogue. This is bar mitzvah, the same root. Okay, you just have a mem added to a tzadik vav hey. Okay, bar mitzvah, and it's also found in the Bible quite a lot, but in its female form, mitzvot. Okay, mitzvot. That's a very common, probably far more common than its verbal form. So we got mitzvah, Shavah, mitzvah, mitzvot, okay? All of those things working. So, and the base root of all of that is sadik vav, okay? Mitzvah, and then ordered, commanded. Okay, this is something you're gonna sort of a standing order. Okay, this is something that is in place, and it's for those people to remember and obey all the time that they're working there. Mitzvah, Boaz. Et narav, to his young men, construct plural of nara. Narim would be the absolute form of plural. Narav is construct plural, his young men of him. Gam, also, bein, between or among, bein, among. Omarim, the sheaves. Okay, this is omarim. Almost, I'm almost supposed to apply what I would call a gau value to the gomarim, but omarim. Okay, it's the ha is a comets, and then you have a tev comets, which is going to be pronounced o. Okay, so this one's o, ma rim. Okay, omarim. The vowel will be this hirik yod here, and this one just happens to be the last accent on the end here of this particular phrase right here, or this particular word. Omarim. Teleket, to gather, to glean. Okay, so we've seen the verse opening with leleket, in order to glean, and we've seen it at the end, hortatory here. She must, it's kind of interesting. She, I guess, translation is we can glean, but she must glean. She will glean. So, yeah, hortatory or yeah, almost out, yeah, not quite imperative, but yeah, getting there. So, a hortatory sort of thing here. Tilakhet, in order to glean. So, she can glean. Do not embarrass her, and this is the last part of that very first verse. Lo, te kalim ha. Lo tach limu ha. Okay. Ve lo tach limu ha. Ve lo tach limu ha. Well, lots of syllables here. Tach. This schwa is going to be silent because we're having closed syllable. It closes a syllable here. Okay. Tach li mu ha. Okay. So you got a closed syllable, open syllable, open syllable, open syllable. Okay. Open syllables are ones that start with a consonant and finish with a vowel. Closed syllables start with a consonant, have a vowel in the middle, and close up with a consonant too. So that's closed syllable, open syllable, open syllable, open syllable. Okay. We're just going to review syllables here. But anyway, tach li mu ha. And she, and don't embarrass her. Okay, do not embarrass her. Whenever we have a negative command, the imperative verb that follows the negative command is going to be prefixed. So that's what we have here. Don't embarrass her. So this one's the prefix form. Then this is the root will be kalum. Okay, kalim. To embarrass it, yeah. To if you look it up, it's used in many kind of interesting scenarios when David's men are sent to talk to the Amorites. The king of the Amorites shaves half their beard, and they come back very embarrassed about the whole situation. So it's those things that, yeah, bring down your sense of self-worth. In other words, you're not happy with yourself when you're embarrassed. So tikalim mo, this is then this plural form of the verb here, and then this is to her. This is a suffix hey, that's her then right here. So tikaluma. Vegam, and then we're getting into the next verse here. Vegam shalof shol teshalhu. Okay, vegam shol teshalhu. This verb right here is to shalal. Oh, shalal. Okay, shalal hashbash. One of Isaiah's son was named this thing. It's the plunder. It's the stuff that gets left over. It's the spoil. I think yeah, King James calls it the spoil. So it's what's kind of thrown around when after a battle and that kind of thing. This isn't, well, I don't know, call it a battleground, but not really. It's and so so we do have the very same. We've seen huged, hugad, where you have an infinitive starting out the sequence. In other words, started out with what's there, and then move on to what has to happen to it. Okay, so that's what happened here. Shol teshulo, tashlu, okay, tashulu, la. This is a la here at the end. Tashulu la. Shal is to pull it out, throw it out on the ground, leave some stuff laying around. They're it's part of the family of verbs. Also, shlaf. Okay, shin lamed pe. The full root, if you're going to look it up in a lexicon, is going to be shin lamed lamed. You only have one lamed here, and you only have one lamed here, even though it repeats itself. Maybe that's why they felt confident just leaving the one lamed on here. But the Masoretes took a look at this and said, "Oh, wow, this really should have two lamets." We're going to try to indicate that with the dagesh. Okay, we're going to duplicate the lamet here with the dagesh. Often lamets don't carry dagesh, but here you certainly are. with an attempt by the Masoretes to double up the lamed right here. Should be a double lamed. Belongs to the family Shalaf. Okay, that's a Shin Lamed Pei. Hebrew tends to work in family groupings of words. Shalaf means also basically the same thing. Shlaf it off. And for those who are learning this word on the basis of, if you're an English speaker, that's one of the mnemonics for it. You just you slough it off. In other words, slide it out, pull it out. Okay, schloff. Okay, so shol, shalhu, tashlu, tashlu. Pull out the grain from the sheaves. Okay, in other words. Now this particular verb, we see it also. I think it does work as a verb, but often quite a bit more as a noun, and it has a connection here to Proverbs 31, approximately verse, I think 11 or 12, somewhere in there, where the husband of the virtuous woman, Eshet Hayid, does not lack shalal. He does not lack spoil. In other words, you go, oh wow, how's this happening? Well, the virtuous woman also provides the things that are for the husband. In other words, provides this kind of thing here, shalah. Okay, and those who are translating Proverbs 31 are going to have a time to spoil and plunder and all. Seems kind of a negative sense. But it really isn't. In other words, it's just simply, hey, here it is. These are the good things that we're willing to toss your way. So happens to the husband of the virtuous woman, happens here to Ruth being able to receive the benefit of having grain purposely thrown out for her. So shalahu, on purpose, pull out the stalks, pull out the grain. Lach for her. Minha shibutim, from the sheaves. This word has a lot of, I say it, a lot of background to it, and incidentally, it's in some portions. This is, by the way, it's the masculine form of it. Okay, sheaves. Also shibboleth, with a sheen and then with a samik, and here you have a sadik. Okay, one of the few times you can see all of the S sounds using the same word. So you got shibotim, shiboleth, sam. So and incidentally, the confusion of shiboleth and shibotim, that would cause trouble with the tribe of Manasseh. So learn to pronounce it properly is I guess what you want to say here. Minha shibutim, from the sheaves, okay, from the things that are pulled together, things that already have had work for cutting off the stalks and putting them together and tying them up. Okay, things that really, actually, Boaz at this point is saying, mess up your own work so that you can have some benefit from it. So this is from the sheaves. You're only going to do this for somebody that you really want to help. And then azbatem. So if you get back to the previous verse, you saw shibutim. That was a masculine ending on the shibutim, and this is then the antecedent of this pronoun right here. Tem, throw them, drop them, is in masculine. So drop them. Azav is abandon them. Okay, azav is azavachtani, azav, toss them out. Okay, ve'azvatem, ve'lilaket. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This is third, fourth time we see laket to lakach, to glean. Okay, or for her to glean, for her gleaning. I have a feminine ending on this particular verb right here, to pick up, to glean. Velo, and not tig gazru ba, and don't growl at her. Okay, don't rebuke her. Okay, got her. Okay, almost onomatopoeia here. If you look at a word and you kind of wonder, oh, what does this mean? Pronounce it out. Okay, tig gar arov, arov, arov. Don't growl at her. Don't rebuke her, onto her, against her. So beautiful passage here, and I'll just say, in this day and age, when we live in a toxic workplaces, this is really a breath of fresh air to say, wow, treat her well, do your work, but certainly help her out, and allow her to do her work very well as well. So very much, Boaz is very much concerned that her working experience be very positive. So he's telling his young men, okay, help out, do these things so that things will be much easier for her. In this day and age, I'll just say that's a great concept in pastoral work and teaching, preaching, anything. It's our role to seek the best for others, so that their work, their efforts that's going forward, receive encouragement, receive help, and willing to be successful in what they're doing. So it's a great concept, and it's one we see here, working with Boaz, talking to his workers, do these things so that Ruth's work can go forward in a great way. And a great concept, a great thing, something we can work with even today. Now on to the Hebrew reading. Here we go. Betakom lelaket v'yishva Boaz et narav lemor gam bein haomrim tilaket velo tikalechmuha, and she arose up. Now this verb, we've seen it, this particular verb, we've seen it in the first chapter when Naomi rises up in Moab in order to return. So kind of one of these verbs that you use when the next step happens, and then from there, get up and go, get up and go, get up and go. So takom. Kam is atuv because it's a closed syllable, no accent. The comments here is going to be no. Okay? Takom. Lelaket, in order to, when we see a nominative purpose in front of a verb, makes it infinitive. So in order to, glean, v'yishvu, yishva, and he ordered. It's Boaz here, handing out commandment and order. And as I said, this is the root behind mitzvah, bar mitzvah, and the root behind mitzvot. So mitzvahs are nouns of this particular verb, okay? So based on this verb. Again, take a close look at the vav. The vav is always used here as a consonant, not as a vowel, as a consonant here. Yishav, okay, shav. Just take this patah, and you're going to end it with a v here. Yishav. Et narav, to his workers, to his young men. Nar is young, and construct plural here, with a suffix pronoun, third person singular suffix pronoun belonging to him. The young men belong to him. Lemor, saying, okay, in order to say. Again, it is the same structurally. It is, we're always translating saying, but structurally it is an infinitive. Just same thing, same as here. Lelaket, and here's lemor. Lemor, in order to say. Gam, also. Pain, among. Haomrim, the sheaves. Telaket. Okay, so you got lelaket, telaket. Okay? Look at the parallelism here. Lelaket, telaket. She will then glean. Okay, this one's a feminine prefix form of this particular verb. Velo, and not. Tik kalim ha. Don't calumniate her. Don't provide calamity. Don't rebuke her. Don't attack her. Don't bother her. So kalumniha. Vegam, Shol, Teshalu, and then also this is almost always what it is. The root word here is Shin Lamed Lamed, and then here Shin Lamed Lamed. We see repetition of this particular verb right here. So Shol, Teshalu, and then pull out, and then pull out. This one is incidentally the master reads right here wanted to double up the pronunciation of the lamed here, and they stuck a dagish in here. A little hard to make it work, doubling up the pronunciation of the lamed. It's not a bagat kafat, so it's not a letter that would be used to make plositive, but it is the Masoretes are trying to double up the lamed here via the dagish. There should be two lameds right here, and we're going to prove it by sticking a dagish in the middle here. So shol, teshalu, and yank out, pull out, toss out. The extra things that you can throw out for her. As I said, it's also shlaf. It's part of a family of verbs, and have things thrown out for her. The husband of the virtuous woman also receives shalal. Okay? So, spoil. The King James used the word spoil. I would just say no. This is just throw out the extra. Throw out the things that you can. Okay. Shol tashalu, lacht for her. Minha shibutim from the sheaves, from the things that are there. Pull those things out from that. These are things that have already been wrapped up, tied, and standing there. And so Boaz is saying, make it easy for her, just from things that you've already done, and essentially go backwards on your work and provide things for her to pick up. So ve'ashbatem. Now here, in the previous study I had these in separate pages. So. But here we do see the connection here, okay? You got hashivatim. This is the sheaves, and then masculine plural ending here, of course, and then this also is the masculine plural, and then abandon them. Okay? Take the sheaves, portions of the sheaves, abandon them. Lilaket, so that she can glean. Third or fourth time we see this one in these two verses. In order for her to glean. Velo, and not te geruva, and don't criticize her, don't bother her, don't make her feel bad. And as I said, these two verses are very much the solution, are very much a way of avoiding a toxic work environment. In other words, Boaz here is just trying to make things very easy for Ruth. Extra things strewn on the ground for her, and she just basically has to spend her time picking things up and gathering it up. And it's the Lord. Boaz here is seeking to bless Ruth, and I'm pretty certain that his heart is, the Lord has blessed me, let me bless others as well. And that's I think something that we should all carry in our own hearts. The Lord has blessed us. The Lord's been good to us in many ways. Most certainly at this point, we must make an effort to bless others as well, especially those who are in stress, those who are strangers, those who are foreigners and so forth, those who are widows, and she's a foreigner and a widow. So it's a good thing for those of us who follow the Lord to bless those who and help those who need it. So God bless you in this day. God strengthen you in this day. May God protect you and give you what you need in this day. Until next time.